Yeah. Class is in session. Knowledge unknown is the blessing. Common to fish to ask questions like share, leave suggestions. Power to my people is the message. We've been here before it started. No doubt we the hardest in remembrance of those departed. We are keeping our swords, the sharpest class with skill.
Class with skill. Class with skill.
Class, lock in. When the American Civil War ended, slavery officially died on paper. But the real question wasn't whether slavery ended. The real question was, what comes after slavery? Because freedom is not just the removal of chains. Freedom is ownership, freedom is land, freedom is protection, and freedom is the ability to build something and pass it down. And Black Americans understood that immediately. Remember, we weren't immigrants arriving in America looking for opportunity. We were already here. We built the agricultural wealth of the South. We worked the cotton, tobacco, rice, and sugar fields that helped turn America into an economic power. Then came the 14th Amendment to the United States Constitution. Black Americans became citizens. That matters because citizenship is supposed to mean inclusion in the nation, not just legally, but economically. And for a brief moment during the Reconstruction era, there was a plan to make that real. Under General William Tecumseh Sherman, the government introduced Special Field Orders No. 15, what we now call 40 acres and a mule. Class, think about that. 1 million Black families, 40 acres each. That's 32 to 40 million acres. That's not symbolic, that's economic power. Land creates food, land creates business, and land creates inheritance. That's how a formerly enslaved people transitioned into independence. But America reversed course. The land was taken back and returned to former Confederates. And understand what that means. Black Americans became citizens without an economic foundation. Class, that decision changed the future. Because when you remove ownership from freedom, you create dependency instead of independence. And that missing foundation is where the modern wealth gap truly begins. Class. Now here's where the contradiction becomes impossible to ignore. Land was being distributed in America, just not to Black citizens. Enter the Homestead Act. This law offers settlers 160 acres of land if they moved onto it and improved it. Now listen carefully. You didn't even have to be a citizen. You just had to declare your intent to become one. That opened the door wide for European immigrants. Between the late 1800s and early 1900s, millions of Europeans came into the United States. And while Black Americans were being pushed into sharecropping and segregation, European immigrants were receiving access to land, labor, and opportunity. Class, understand the scale. Over 270 million acres were distributed through the Homestead Act. That's around 10% of the entire United States. Immigrants built farms, ranches, businesses, and entire towns here. And over time, they passed that wealth down through generations. Meanwhile, Black Americans, who were already citizens under the 14th Amendment, faced a completely different reality. Violence blocked movement, land theft was common, banks denied credit, and Jim Crow laws restricted economic mobility. So let's say it clearly. Immigrants could access the system. Citizens were locked out of it. Same country, same era, different rules. And once you understand that, you understand why wealth compounds differently between groups. One group started building, the other group started surviving. Between 1880 and 1924, over 20 million Europeans immigrated into America. And class, timing, matters. Because they arrived during one of the greatest economic expansions in U.S. history. Factories were exploding, railroads were expanding, cities were growing, industry was booming. And European immigrants were allowed to plug into that system. They could work industrial jobs, join unions, access credit, buy homes, and start businesses. And over time, they became absorbed into what America defined as white, meaning the system protected their upward mobility. Now compare that to Black Americans, citizens from the beginning. But under Jim Crow laws, jobs were restricted, unions excluded, Black workers, property ownership was unstable, and credit access was predatory or non-existent. Class, that creates two completely different economic trajectories. One group enters the system and compounds wealth. The other is trapped rebuilding from zero over and over again. And the effects multiply across generations because wealth is not just money. Wealth is time, it's inheritance, it's the ability to start ahead instead of starting over. Class with Skeul intermission. Take a second to like, share, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you never miss a lesson. Drop a fist in the comments if you're still locked in. All right, class, sharpen up. We're diving right back into it. Here's the part that should make everybody stop and think. Even with all those barriers, Black Americans still built wealth. We built towns. We built business districts. We built banks, schools, churches, and communities. And every time those communities became too successful, violence followed. Look at the pattern. Tulsa Race Massacre, Rosewood Massacre, Wilmington Insurrection of 1898, and East St. Louis Massacre. Entire communities destroyed, businesses burned, homes erased, generational wealth wiped out in days. Class, understand this clearly. The issue isn't only what Black Americans were denied. It's also what Black Americans built despite denial and then lost through violence and policy. That changes the conversation because now we're not talking about failure. We're talking about interrupted success. Class, the system didn't disappear, it evolved. Enter redlining. Now instead of mobs burning communities, banks and institutions blocked them from growing. Black neighborhoods were labeled high risk, loans were denied, investment disappeared, property values were artificially suppressed. And this happened during the greatest wealth building period in modern American history. After World War II, suburbs expanded, home ownership exploded, and property values increased for decades. Meanwhile, Black Americans were largely locked out. At the same time, GI Bill benefits were unevenly distributed. New Deal programs excluded many Black workers, and highways cut directly through Black neighborhoods. Class, understand the pattern. Every time America created a new wealth-building system, Black Americans were either excluded from it or included last. And that delay compounds across generations. Now look at the results today. Black median household wealth sits around $20,000 to $30,000. White median household wealth over $200,000. That gap didn't appear magically. It reflects land never received, land taken, wealth destroyed, access restricted, credit denied, and communities destabilized. If Black Americans had retained those original millions of acres, if wealth had been allowed to compound normally, many estimates suggest Black households today could hold $150,000 to $500,000 plus in wealth. Class, that's the difference between compounding and restarting. One group builds upward generation after generation. The other keeps rebuilding after every setback. And that repeated reset is one of the clearest explanations for the modern wealth gap. Class, now we get to the uncomfortable word, reparations. Not charity, not favors, debt. Because if a government promises land, takes it back, gives land access to others, blocks its own citizens from opportunity, allows wealth destruction, and enforces discriminatory systems for generations, then the economic damage becomes measurable. We're talking about millions of acres lost, hundreds of billions in wealth prevented or destroyed, and generations locked out of compounding ownership. That's not ancient history. That's a structural economic injury. And Black Americans are not outsiders asking for special treatment. We were citizens when many others were still arriving. We built this country before and after slavery. So the question isn't, do Black Americans deserve reparations? The real question is, how long can America ignore a debt this large? Another lesson is complete here at Class With Skeul, but the conversation doesn't stop when the video ends. History lives through the people willing to remember it, study it, and pass it forward. Keep questioning, keep learning, and keep searching for the truth beyond the surface. If you enjoyed today's class, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a lesson. Share this video with somebody ready to learn something real, and drop a fist in the comments to represent strength, knowledge, and unity. Until next class, stay sharp.